All right, we're back with another episode of Stealing from Friends where we bring dope people on who do dope stuff. Now, here's the thing with dope people. Not everybody can be dope. Not everybody can be dope. We know that. There's a lot of dope people we come through in life like I don't know name like Thomas Brown. You know, Thomas Brown's pretty dope. But today we got a guy who he's okay. He's okay. He's pretty good. But what makes him unique is the way he motivates folks, and I think that was pretty cool. And I think a lot of times when it comes to people actually getting somebody to do stuff, there has to be a certain tonality about it. So we're gonna actually see what makes them tick and all that good stuff. So what up, Matthew?
Hey, what's going on?
None much. So thank you for being here. First off,
Appreciate you.
didn't see your Crocs. Are you a Croc guy? You're not.
I almost went shoeless just because I was like, I don't even need shoes.
Yeah, you should be
can't
socks.
see them anyways.
Exactly, exactly. So, before we get rocking and rolling, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you've done, and why you are as goated as you are today.
Okay. So I'm a first sergeant in the Army National Guard. Been leading as far as team leader, been a recruiter for a long time, and then moved up to team leader, and then NCOIC, and which basically is just in charge. That's what the IC is. And so I just led teams, but at the same time, I've always been involved in sports with my kids growing up. Like, just I've always been, passionate about
Yeah.
like doing your best, being involved in the game, and I've even coached them a lot. Coached them in
What sport?
sports I didn't even.
What sport? What sport is your thing?
Basketball is my sport.
Okay.
But they were involved in some like flag football. I've never played football, so I had to learn. But then
As joked as you are, you never played football.
I've never played football.
Some
I
people
was
would say
skinny,
you too. Some people say you too big to be playing basketball. Like an Escalade out here, just dunking random moves and stuff.
Yeah, I refed a little bit like a couple years ago, and one of the guys playing, he was like, "Dude, do you own the gym?" Because he was inside of like a gym. And I was like, "No." I was like, but.
And so ended up just training them through that. And actually, let's take a half step back. What were you doing before you got in the military?
So I worked a lot in the oil field.
What's like, was it Texarkana, that side of town?
No, all over the state, really.
Okay.
But based out of Searcy, worked up there, and then I transferred to a company in Oklahoma. Worked out of state for a lot, and then we worked down in Texas, just all over the place.
With having that much traveling, you're still in the military at this time, or you haven't even gotten in the military yet?
No, I had gotten out for a period of time.
Dang, okay. I didn't know
Yeah.
you was even in before this.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no, I did. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps
Here we go.
for
Here we
3
go.
years.
You go find a way to bring that back,
yeah.
don't you?
I
Okay.
was in the Marine Corps, got out, thought like I'm done with that, and then went to the oil field for a period of time, and then like I said, I was like, you know what? Because I had a buddy that I went to church with that was in the National Guard, and he was full time.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give that a shot.
Give me some of that.
And got in, did a year, and then was like, nah, I'm gonna get back out.
I'm
Because
cool on this.
I was just part time, and I wasn't able to get on full time. I thought like, no, I'm getting back out. And
Yeah.
then another opportunity came open where I went to RTI, which is just a training center up
Okay.
at Camp Robinson, and became a part-time instructor or was working towards it, and then recruiting came available, and I was like, I'm jumping on that because that's what I really want to do.
Really? You really wanted to be in recruiting?
Yes, that's the whole reason why I was like, getting in the Guard was to get involved in recruiting.
I wish this was one of those sales. We have to bring you back for like some sales stuff so we can kind of go deep into that. So when I was on your team, there was a phrase you used all the time, championship mindset. Can you talk to me about what being a leader is? And that's a very generic term. Leaders lead and followers follow. But what exactly is your idea of what a leader is? And don't give me that generic how everybody's a safety officer type stuff. I mean, like,
No.
So what exactly?
So the Army defines leadership as someone
I knew you was gonna give me a definition first. Go ahead.
who provides purpose, direction, and motivation to achieve organizational goals. So you could apply that in any civilian job in a leadership position. Like if I'm the leader, I got to provide purpose, direction, and motivation to get after the job, like for us to achieve what our job is. So how do you motivate?
How do you motivate?
Motivation is getting you to really achieve your best? Like, how do I get Thomas to do his best when, some days he don't feel like it,
Right.
right? So I got to get to know my people, right? I can't just be a leader or a dictator or someone that just says, hey, do your job, right? I got to get to know you and kind of create a culture where we're a team. We trust each other. We know each other. I know what what makes you tick, and what makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
And if that's time off, right,
Got you.
then I can be like, I can use that carrot to be like, hey,
That's right. If you do X,
if you
Y,
do
Z.
this by this time, I'm gonna let you have Friday off, right? I gave you purpose, direction, but I gave you the motivation. Motivation was the one that you just said, hey, that's what I want.
Is motivation also incentive? Are those words used simultaneously, or what? What do you think? Like,
Motivation is kind of what it could be an incentive, but really, like, it's kind of what makes some people just like show up and they just want to be the best, right? They don't even care about if they get an award or if they get recognized, or
Right.
they just want to be like, hey, I want to be the best. Some just like, hey, I'm gonna do my job and then so I can go home, right? So motivation kind of is what makes you. I guess it's that why behind what you do,
yeah.
right? So it just gives you that purpose in some cases, but sometimes like some people just need a little bit of extra purpose.
Now that's exactly what I was about to lead into next. So you got leaders that motivate differently, whether it's a style of leadership. You mentioned the dictatorship type
Yeah.
of leadership. You got some folks that are more so kind of standoffish and hey, let me see how the thing flows, and more so it's probably like I don't know any quiet coaches where they're just maybe just on the sideline and they're like, get your shit together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I obviously there's different ways to do that type of thing, but would you say there's and I'm not saying there's only one way to do it, but in regards to the different leadership styles, have you found one that works really well? Because I mean, there's different personalities within the
No,
team.
yeah, exactly. And that's I think like leadership is adaptable, right? Like I could go into our team, right? Before I had some experience with everybody on the team. There was already like some built trust, and it was able to kick off quicker than if I went to a new team and they didn't know nothing about me, right? I might take a different approach. And I think as leaders, like I said, it's got to be adaptable, because what worked on our team at that
right.
time, if I go over somewhere else, they may not, they may just have some cultural differences or just been, led differently in the past. So that's what I'm saying. I got to get to know them. I got to build that trust first and kind of figure out those individuals on the team, and then I can use that motivation and incorporate all my leadership stuff. Right? Is purpose, direction, and motivation. Right? I can use all those tools to get them to move forward and do the job.
Would you say it's almost like a so Nick Saban, he dipped out, and they got to bring a new person in. So in that instance, even though they may have some players that were there when Nick was there, that coaches knew, unless let's just say, because I don't know their staff, but let's say there is a new coach that came in off rip. What would you say that first approach needs to happen before he gets to know? Because I'm gonna be with you all day. So what does somebody do to actually get to know their team?
Well, I think there's some different things that can happen. Like, right, there's can be some just like some exercises or just like personal time. Hey, let's go out to lunch together. Let's go and spend some time together, right? Whatever that may be. If that's something that, like I said, just initially, like, hey, we go to lunch, ask questions, talk to each other, just kind of collectively see. I can see interactions among the team, because sometimes on the team there's already a leader. It's not the appointed leader, but it's somebody that is the leader in the group. And me coming into a new team, I may need to figure out who that person is, because if it's you, but yet you ain't the appointed leader, now I know who I may need to build more trust with, because if it's you, like I said, now if I build trust with you, then you know how it is. Sometimes with a team, it's like
We're not
Coach-
going unless he go.
Yeah.
type of thing.
coach is like, hey, let's go hit the weights, and then everybody just kind of stands there and looks, and then the one leader on the team's like, let's go, man, let's go, let's
And
go.
then everybody else
and
rock.
then everybody goes.
Yeah.
So, like I said, sometimes it's like, hey, I got to figure out who that person is, like, especially if I don't know them. But if I'm coming in and I already have some trust, then I just got to kind of get trust with the new people. And
This is the same vein if you're going to prison. Like if you're in prison, the idea is to go find the biggest dude in there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go knock him out, and then from there, all
I'm the
right,
baddest dude.
yeah, hey, now y'all know what's up. So in the same vein, you could come into a new environment and be kind of straight lined. Like we know a person who came to the organization and was super. I'm about to paraphrase. Hey y'all, shut the
Yeah.
up, and this is how we're gonna do stuff. That leadership style. How do you think? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Like when he first came in.
Yeah, I mean, there's been others since him, but
Okay.
but at the same time, like I think that it's super abrasive right out the gate.
Now is that good? Is like does
No,
Okay.
I don't think that type of leadership gets you the progress that you need. Right now, I could come in and say, look here, team, like this is the goals. This is what our expectations are. If I'm the new guy coming into Alabama, hey, the goal is to continue to win championships. Right. This is how I think we can do that. Right. I provide some purpose and some direction, like what our end goals are. Now, if our goals align, then now I can just help motivate you to keep you at your best and performing at your best.
Is it okay that nobody? So let's say you were talking about earlier the leader, that one person where everybody kind of gravitates to, but he may not want to do leadership stuff. Like he's good solo. Hey, let me do my thing. I like just being a team player. Like cool, but can you? Is it wrong to push somebody into a leadership role that just doesn't want to?
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to make that guy a leader or that person a leader on the team. But what I can use is his influence in the team, right? If I get buy-in with him and he has that built trust with me,
Yeah.
right, then automatically, like, I got buy-in with the team, right? I don't have to say, hey, you're a team leader or you're this leader or you're that leader. I don't have to give him a point of duty. I'm just saying, like, I can just build that trust, build cohesion with him, just get him on my side so that, therefore, like, when it does come time, like, because you know how it is. Like, I'm promise you, like, when I left the office, there's probably conversations that happen after I'm gone.
I don't know what he's talking about.
What I'm saying?
Guys.
I
have
guarantee
no
you.
idea. Okay.
You know what I mean? And so that's the person that I'm talking about. So, like, if I had that built trust, he's having that same conversation. Like, yeah, like, he's got our best interest. I mean, he's talking that piece of so that the rest of the team has trust in me and is
he's
able
kind of
to-
bringing it down. He's like a what do you call it? He's like a not a mirror, a reflection. Help me out with a word. He's like a spinning image
Yeah.
or something like that. You keep looking at your watch. You got to go or something?
No, somebody, they don't like you.
Ain't nobody texting you.
Yes,
you know?
they are. Yes, they are. They know I'm here. So they're like, what's
Hey, make sure your find me is on. I want to make sure I can find you.
Yeah. You know how it is. Your wife is like, oh, I got you tracked. Where
Yeah,
you
but
at?
hey, where you at? What you doing at the gas
Yeah.
station? You don't get that gas. You talked about there's a phrase that you use that you always would do with when you do our team meetings. Talk about that phrase and kind of what that comes from.
You're talking about championship.
You knew that's
mindset.
what I was talking about. Yeah. Go ahead.
So when I came into the team, right, I had replaced a leader that was like what you were talking about. It was kind of like, hey, this is how it is.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. And sometimes that's necessary to get the job done, right?
Okay.
And sometimes, it isn't as bad as what people think. But I seen the morale of the team, right? I seen, like I said, I had done my own assessment of where everybody was, and everybody had seemed like they were like beat down, right? So in order for me to kind of rally the troops was like, I got to figure out how to motivate these team to pick themselves up, right? And if that's just creating a culture of, okay, hey, championship mindset, right? Because you mentioned Nick Saban, because when he come into Alabama, he's like, okay, this is the goal. Like, this is the mindset of our team. No matter if you want to
And
be
no
a part
ifs,
of it
ands,
or
or
not.
buts.
Right.
Yeah, you gonna know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I had to kind of establish our motto or our identity of the team, right? Because there is some resiliency that has to be built there. Because at that time, like I said, the mindset was, like, dang, I'm just getting beat up all the time. But I wasn't trying to do that. I was just trying to motivate them, and by kind of creating a team identity so that they could be like, okay, I see. Because like a coach, I'm a coach at heart. Like that's what I,
Okay.
like
anybody can be coaches, I guess. Okay, I'm listening though. I'm listening. I'll bite.
But like if I wasn't doing this job, that's where I would want to be as a coach, right? Because that's just where my passion is. So therefore, I'm looking at this team. I'm like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, right? Let's shit this. And then I started using analogies of champions, right? You always
keep going.
see,
Like who?
Michael J. Jordan. No,
Michael B. Jordan.
No, yeah. So Michael Jordan, right? I used a lot of his analogies and things that quotes that he had, said over his time as the GOAT.
His
right?
tenure,
Yeah.
as you would. Okay. Some people would go against the grain and say Michael
even
Jordan
say
was
it.
not the GOAT.
That's a whole nother podcast.
This is this
That's
podcast.
a whole
So
nother podcast.
so you got people like Scottie Pippen, and I am going to 100% go ahead and say I'm only looking at data. I'm
Yeah.
not a basketball fan. But without Scottie Pippen, surface level speaking, he didn't do as well.
As who?
Michael Jordan.
Who? Did
Oh,
he
in the
do as
championship,
well?
sorry.
Oh,
In like
in the
championships.
championship. I thought he
Yes.
was referring to an individual.
No.
That people
I was
refer to as the GOAT, but he's not.
correct. Well, I'm bringing it more so. So Michael Jordan by himself, could he win the championship?
No, he couldn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, as a coach, right? You have to get the best out of your players, and he wasn't, at his best because he was trying to do it himself, right? And that's where the team involvement. You have to get everybody to do their best as a coach and as a leader. I can't just rely on the one racehorse or the one person.
Some people do though.
Some people do because that's their bread and butter. Like that's where, some leaders, they just want to be like, oh, this is my guy. Like I'm just gonna ride this guy's coattail to
Pass it to Will.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not sustainable for a long time. Like you seen that with Michael. Like he kind of got wore down, and finally he was like he come to the conclusion like if I get the team involved, then we can get over this hump and actually win.
So you got Jordan and you also got Kobe.
Rest in peace.
You know what I'm saying? I'll wait for that part later. So the Kobe and Michael Jordan deal. And I don't know much about Jordan's how he was on the court, but Kobe, some would say he was a bit of a dictatorship as a leader.
Yeah, Michael was the same.
Well, we're talking about Kobe right now.
Yeah.
We're going to stick with Kobe. So can you explain maybe why that works? I mean, you're like, hey, we're winning, but we're depressed or something. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the team felt about that, but I mean, like,
So
what's your take
it goes
on that?
back to what I was saying, right? Phil Jackson, the leader of the team on both those teams, both those players, but Kobe and Michael were the internal leaders, right, of the team. So they're trying to create an identity, right, where it feels like, hey, this is where how we're going to achieve that goal, right? But Michael and Kobe are both like, hey, we're going to do this. Or they're trying to bring the best out of the individual players, however that may be. But they're on the court with them, right? There's some people that's like sometimes they just have that respect because they're with me. They're doing it with me, right? I'm just gonna.
This is what we got to
I'm gonna
do.
be in
Let's
the
go get it
trenches,
done. Exactly.
So I want you to be at my level, my standard, because this is our goal. Like we're here.
But
Like,
not everybody's going to be at his standard.
no, not everybody. Just because he has just
Goatness, just
Yes, exactly.
all through him, all throughout him. So because not everybody is going to be goated, not everybody can be goated. There's only so many goats out here. There's not enough grass to go around for everybody to be goats. But at the same time, especially in corporate America, not to get deep into like equal opportunity employment and stuff like that, but that almost kind of, you should almost kind of be super selective on who you bring on for your team. Is that fair?
Super selective. I think that, like to me personally, I look at talent
Mm-hmm.
because I think that talent is what's going to drive any market. If I'm in a corporate position or if I'm in the military,
And we're saying
doing
talent versus like work ethic or like
well, like
personality or
all of that combined,
okay, it makes
right?
talent.
Yeah,
Okay.
in my opinion, like talent to do that specific job.
Okay.
So if it's recruiting, right, I'm not gonna go after a specific look or a specific person. I'm
Okay.
saying like if they come in and they have the talent, then that's what I want. Like if they're coachable and they have the work ethic, they can talk the talk, they look good, all
Mm-hmm.
the whole package. That's just kind of that talent together, right? Like when we look at like Kobe and Michael, like they have the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has that same talent that they had.
Is that the
So
difference when people
therefore,
talk about art versus what's the other part? That's the art versus
science.
science. Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Science is like, can I recreate this over and over?
Okay.
Right. So like just like any formula, I can recreate this over and over. But
Okay.
the art is I can use your special abilities, your personality, your skills, your person, just way you can talk to people and just get things out of them.
Yeah.
And apply the science, and then I got something like great.
Got you. Got you. Okay.
But if you ain't got the art or personality, like then the science, you just gonna keep.
you have to just rock with the science.
Yeah.
Now, is that bad? Like, let's say you got a person on your team, they're not even a number 2. They're like on a scale of 5, they're a number 4. They're not your star. And I'm not talking about even on the court. I'm just saying level. Like they're a number 4. They're like, because you don't get to pick everybody on your team.
No.
So how do you work with people that you had no necessarily direct control, yay or nay, if they came on to your team? What do you do about that? Because you're like, man, what am I doing over here with Matthew Rogers over here on the Lakers? Like, why did we get him? You know, like, what do you do about that?
Well, as a leader, again, as I get to know you, I'm gonna understand what your I wouldn't say special skills like I'm intaking, but like
Strengths.
but your strengths and skills as an individual, right? It may not be, like your sales ability, your talk ability, like what you can do. Talking directly about you, but
Go.
yeah, but I'm talking about like you don't have the personality, but you can do X, Y, Z over and over again, and it doesn't bother you to do that, right? Whereas for you, you're like, man, I don't like the repetitiveness.
Got to change it up.
I can. That's why the team is
Important.
important because there's a collaboration that you can do across the team where I can use your skills to do this and his skills or her skills to do this, and then we are great. Again, that's why we go back to Michael and
They
Kobe.
gave me
like,
chill bumps when you said that. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
But you know what I'm saying? Like Michael and Kobe, like he couldn't do it by himself. So once he starts getting his team involved, now he's like, okay, well, Pippen can pass me the ball whenever he knows where I'm open. He knows when, but if not, he can also just dunk over people.
Yeah, I don't know if he could do all that. That free throw line dunk wasn't really all that hot. Now let's talk about when leadership makes a call, but then you have somebody like a Peyton Manning that calls an audible. Do you think that's could that be fishy? Could that be issues that come into the water because you're new? You haven't been to Central Arkansas. You don't know what it's like in this area. When you say we need to go and charge this hill, we're going to say, bro, man, that ain't really nothing up in that hill. We're going to take the boat. We're going to go under the bridge and do it that way. So what is it? Do you think it's an issue for a team that's already established? You're just now coming into the team. Why mess up what they doing?
So that's a good question. Really is. Because like I could see where both sides could say, hey, this is how we've always done it.
Mm-hmm.
And then a leader coming in is like, maybe he's very good at being more efficient, but he doesn't think that's efficient or whatever. And the team's just like, whatever, like this is how we've done it. And this has been successful. I think that's where leaders and individuals on the team can build some trust.
Okay.
Right. So like if I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with you this time.
We'll see that playing out.
I'm gonna see how it plays out, right? Because I'm not from here. I know this has worked over and over again, but yet I'm gonna let you take the lead on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to empower you to do this specific task. And once it's said and done, then we'll reassess. That can go miles with an individual on a team because
Mm-hmm.
as a leader, like, again, I'm putting all my chips in on
That's
you
right.
at that time. But at the end of the day, like, if it is successful and I come back and I'm like, man, that was great, and I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of coach you and all that stuff, maybe this you did really well, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
giving you all the credit. Now, again, I got buy-in with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be there. It's like building that trust. But
I don't feel like some people like like when a new president come into office, the things that they want to do in their first 90 days. If you're starting someplace new and you're a leader, and we don't necessarily have to talk about more so the president, but just in general, is like what would you do? You're coming to a place the first time, brand spanking new. Are you just taking just that simple approach, or you're like, man, hey, I'm dope. I'm goated. Look at all my stuff on my wall. Look at all my accolades. I know what I'm doing, but I also am in a new spot, position, or whatever. What do you think the right way of kind of going into that is? Like a person gets hired completely outside of the company, comes in, and they're like the big dog in the company. People are a little bit upset. They're a little bit anal about it. But what should somebody do, or what generally should happen when it comes to something like that?
so I think a couple things. I think one, me as a leader coming in, obviously, my leader. There's always going to be a leader unless I'm just coming in straight as CEO,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I just gotta go from there. But obviously, my leader has probably been there for a minute, and at that point, they're like, "Hey, this is what I've seen happening." Right?
Mhm.
They're going to give me some insight of what probably needs to be corrected in that team or that area or whatever. But then at the same time, in that first 90 days, I'm going to take what he's gave me. I'm going to go assess it myself, right? At that same time,
Yeah.
I'm trying to build some trust with my individuals that are in that team. And it may be what he's saying is one individual. And now I know, like, hey, this is the problem over here is this one person. We may need to move them or let them go.
Yeah.
And then we can fix
Squash
the
all of
problems
it.
over
Yeah,
there. Right. So there's an assessment time I think that has to go in there, but at the same time, there's like some obviously higher direction that's going to be like, hey, this is the issues, and then I'm just going to have to try to figure that out.
Solution wise. I actually created some questions because I wanted you to. Hey, Alexa, chill out. Because I wanted to know exactly what you felt about these things. Now, would you say that when it comes to doing things in life, and I don't want you to give me the cliche answer, some would say failures are more important than success. Are you the type that would go all the way left field against the grain to do something because this one thing isn't working? Or would you try to refine this small thing and make a tweak instead of making it a 1, make it a number 2? Or would you go full far-fletched? Nah, let's make it a compound, ba-ba-da-ba-da. Like, what is your style when it comes to success versus failures, and which one is more important?
So me, I'm the type that's going to make adjustments. When I was a recruiter initially, like I wasn't being successful. I was trying what had been taught to me at the time, and it just kept. I'm like, what am I? Because I haven't seen success, so I don't know what success is, right?
Dang. You thinking without seeing it, you can't be successful? That's a whole nother conversation. Okay.
So, exactly. So what I did was I talked to a few recruiters that had been successful and seen how they were doing it, and I'm like, oh, I'm not even in the same ballpark as them.
Vicinity.
Like,
Yeah.
and so I made some adjustments, right? And I created kind of, you've seen it, my step approach, how I get after, meeting with
meeting, yep.
someone, phone, whatever we're doing, phone calls, leads, all that stuff. And so I made the adjustment, and I seen some success, and so therefore I was just like, okay, this is it. But then after time, I was like, okay, I got to make some minor adjustments
Based off of what? What are you, if it's working?
off of what questions, feedback I was getting
Okay.
from individuals, moms, parents, whatever. Like I'm doing my interviews with my applicants of how I'm gonna, what they want out of the military and all that stuff. And then I was always getting the same questions from parents.
Yeah.
So then I just was like, okay, well, I'm gonna add this into basically my
Get
script
ahead of
or
it.
whatever. I'm gonna get ahead of it.
Mhm.
And then at the end, I'm like, what questions do you have? And they'd be like, I don't have any.
Right.
So then I'm like, okay, I got the feedback that I needed. I'm answering their questions.
Mhm.
And then there was even more success. Like, right, when we talk about that conversion, like meaning how many people do I have to meet with before they enlist? Well, it started to get closer to the more people or the less people I meet with, the more people I get.
Yeah.
So that's another adjustment. So I'm able to look at my success through, if I just meet with 2 people, I'm getting somebody enlisted.
These are called metrics.
That's the science.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
science.
Okay. Now, do you think leaders are actually? Can anybody be a leader?
No, I don't think so. Can they be identified as the
Okay.
leader? Yes. They can be
beca-
identified as the leader.
Is it because they just don't? Why? Why can't they? Why can't anybody? If they had how you had your step by step, why can't they just look? Oh, this is what Rogers do. Let me just go. I can do that.
Because what you said, their personalities are different, their approaches are different.
Yeah, but I'm
like-
just leading. I could just literally round the
But
board.
that's not
Here's
that's just like that's not even managing. Like
You're a substitute teacher at this point.
exactly. Exactly. Like some people just have a knack for it and they're able to, come in like automatically and they got buy-in. Like
Yeah.
just because of one, their experience, like people just like their reputation, like in whatever field they're in, like they know, like, oh yeah, that dude was salesman of the year last year, or whatever. Like, and they feel like they can learn something from that individual because of their success. And so they automatically got buy-in. But then there's other people that have kind of been, in the middle or whatever, and then they get appointed the leader, and then they're like,
I don't like how
I
you
don't
keep
know if
throwing
I can-
shade and saying
I
appointed the
don't
leader.
know if I can. Well, I mean, even in promotions, like
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Like you're appointed the leader.
Got you.
You're now the boss. Like,
Mhm.
and so you met the qualifications to be the boss.
To do, and which goes off what you said because you made this paper. I'm following the paper. The paper led me to get to be the boss. The paper also can tell me how to lead.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the application piece of it of my packet to say, hey, if I want to, if there's a job announced at a corporation, and I say I meet the qualifications,
Absolutely.
and they say they look at my resume, they look at all my
I
qualifications,
should be considered.
they say, hey, you're the guy. But then I come in and the department this sucks the whole time because I can't lead. That doesn't mean.
Or maybe I need to get a new group of people. Like I need to clean house is what I need to do. Why can't that be the solution?
It is sometimes. Sometimes it is. But if that department was successful before you got there,
If they were successful before you got there.
yeah.
But are you saying any leader can be able to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, I feel like, has a knack of getting subpar players and doing stuff to make. He was the GOAT when Tom was there. So I don't know if that's Tom being the GOAT or if that's Bill being the GOAT. But are you a Tom Brady fan?
Absolutely.
Okay. So so you get what I'm saying. So how is it that you can have this subpar guy that comes in with a subpar team and I don't know, take him to the north?
That's because he has the gift of being able to see raw talent.
Mhm.
Right. There is some people that can identify talent when it's kind of hidden. And I mean, I'm just gonna say I kind of pride myself on that. Not putting together. I mean,
yeah, I found a guy or two back in my day. Is all
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
you know what I'm saying? Like just last year, they were looking at firing somebody.
Mhm.
I was like, I'll take that guy. I'll take that guy.
I want to
And then-
ask who you're referring. You're not talking about me, are you?
No.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
No.
Here we go, okay.
I'm talking about your replacement.
Okay.
He actually did double what you
yeah,
did.
yeah.
The same area. But so looking at that, I'm like, no, I'll take that guy.
hmm
And then he was the top recruiter in the state.
Maybe not the state, but you know,
In
he
the
was-
state. In the state.
Okay, so I'll bite because I see you're gonna go down this path, so I will bite. So somebody like Bill Belichick, he has an awful team. Somebody like Matthew, he has an awful team. They have awful teams. Would you say, and this is for the extreme example, so I need you to say yes. Would you say that's fair? Y'all both had awful teams initially.
Yes.
And you weren't able, Bill Belichick, obviously also in the same vein with left and right limits. You could say who you want or don't want, or like, man, if I can't get them, I'll get them. So you had some free agents that would come. That'd be a perfect word. You had some free agents that come in, but not all of your free agents are goated. The team's already bad. The person that comes in to fix the team, how is it not good practice for him to now, you know what, y'all are already sucking? I don't really want, like you mentioned earlier, I don't even want to give you the shadow of a doubt to go do the thing. I'm not trusting y'all. Y'all haven't even done it right. So now I'm going to lay down the law and shabam, this is how we're going to rock and roll. If you can't get with it, get left.
Because
Bill Belichick said, I can get the same person to do something for cheaper.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, you have some people that are on the team that are probably a 5-star recruit, but yet they're performing like a 2-star.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because
Casey Moore does that.
Yeah.
Casey Moore does that.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
But that same individual, right, because we had a leader that wasn't meshing with that person, right, being a dictator, you're going to do it this way when really they're successful in this way, right? So now if I come in and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to let you do your thing because you are a 5-star recruit. Like, I'm just going to coach you up where you need to be coached up.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get some, equity in the team because one, like, y'all are underperforming. Y'all's value is way lower than what it was. But now, just because I'm allowing you to, do your thing and just let your personality and your talent, flow, and then coach up where maybe you're not as good at, then, I've already just by letting you just do your thing, I've gained equity in the team. But there's people like that. Like, they can see somebody who's like, well, yeah, when we hired them, they was a 5-star recruit. They was well,
Everything.
talented, and people were seeking after this person. We got him as a first-round draft pick, and now we're talking about trading them because. But I think that's the leader.
Like McNair.
Yeah.
You know McNair? Do you know him? Aaron McNair?
Are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about the quarterback.
Yeah, the quarterback. That's right.
You're talking about. There was a recruiter. I
don't
say his name, but he was on your team.
I don't know who that is, but you do be letting people go. Now, did you let Baby Strick go?
I did.
Now, what is it like when you have to actually let somebody go? Because you have to make the tough call. Like, I have an executive assistant, shout out to Gabrielle. I don't like firing people. I realize even though I'm pretty direct when it comes to, like, I'm doing stuff in my team, that firing part, I'm like, oh.
It's tough.
You've built a world around what the resources I'm able to provide for you, and now you're not cutting the mustard. So, Gabrielle, can you let him go?
So I didn't fire him. I allowed him to go to a different team because just like what we were just talking about, like, he wasn't. I told him this, and if he's watching, he'll know what I'm talking about. Like, I told him, like, you have the skills to do this job, but you're just not doing it. And so I felt like maybe that was partly me, right? Or his environment where he was, because he had been, like, Branch, one of my team leaders, was his recruiter.
Yeah.
So he was kind of comfortable. Maybe it was just, like I said, just the environment and in
Go away
my
and shake some
leadership. So
things
again,
up.
so it was like, hey, like, we got this position. He went up there, got, into a point where he was successful, and then now he's back on the team that we were formerly on. And so
you told him to go prepare a place, huh?
Exactly.
Then it came around full circle.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, he went and was away from, like, his support, and at the same time, like, he seen, like, okay, like, I gotta shape up, and at the same time, like, became pretty good recruiter.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, he's back home, and
He's loving life now.
I'm looking forward to seeing what he actually does next year.
He's loving life now. Now, here's a question that's very controversial. With you being as motivated type of person as you are, Is motivation, would you say motivation is overrated, or does discipline what drive the whole situation, organization, team to be successful?
No, I don't think that discipline, like there has to be discipline within any organization. Like if someone's just acting outside of the norm or what our guidelines are, that needs to be,
Yeah.
taken care of. But, there's you just can't lead with fear, like meaning that like that's not motivation. Like fear is not motivation where, hey, you're gonna lose your job if you don't do this, this, and this, right? Because it's not replicated, right?
Okay.
Meaning to me, like if I threaten you this week, you're gonna lose your job. You did it, barely did it, and then next week you're like, man, okay, now I got to start back over, and now I got to go back to
The fear of trying to
always
lose my job
Yeah,
again too.
Whereas if I can, like I said, if I can get you build some trust, but that at the same time like motivate you to want to come to work and do the job and be successful, and you start, finding joy and happiness in the job, then there's always going to be some success there. There's always going to be a drive to be like, okay, well, I'm getting what I want out of this job. I'm finding,
Yeah.
happiness or success or purpose in this job, and so
What is your take on micromanaging?
I don't like it. I don't like doing it because I don't I don't feel like I have the time to micromanage somebody and be like, you didn't do what I said yesterday, and then I also got 10 other people to go back, and it just when it's just like, hey, I can empower a leader, team
Now, is that
leaders.
delegating?
It is delegating, definitely.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so do you think micromanaging is actually even necessary?
Probably some extent.
Is that
If my subordinate leaders are not performing to that standard that I want, because that's the thing. Like when I set goals, like that's my standard. Like this is where if that's championship mindset and we're setting a high level of standard, then that's where I want
This is
you
a
to
minimum.
be at. This is minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, somebody else might be like, hey, if you just do this, I'm going to be happy, right? So just establishing my standard, right? That's where, okay, my expectations. And then there is going to be some time where it's like, hey, you didn't do what I said multiple times. You're untrustworthy in this position.
Now we
I
got
gotta,
issues.
Now I got to like kind of do some checks on you
Yeah.
and if you're not doing them, then now we can utilize the disciplinary.
Now, do people need to be because you've been up through all the levels from the lowest side of it, being back in the Marines, and then when you came back in, did you come in as 4 or 5?
5.
5, and so you were already still kind of in that junior management level, and now you're at the top, sitting in the desks in your own office and stuff, penthouse suites and all that good stuff. So, when you're leading, does leadership and maybe this
It
is
does change.
well, maybe this is an
I'm
awful.
trying to help you.
Well,
Yeah.
so what I'm trying to say, because maybe this is just an awful example. And I joke, you know how some folks be like, we shouldn't have gave him money because now you've changed. So
Yeah.
you feel like you do have to change as you go up into in progressions of these leaderships.
I think your viewpoint changes because just like you said, as you go up, your viewpoint changes, right? I'm no longer a recruiter on the street, like in the trenches, but I'm not far from it, right? So I know how to do it. I know where I came from, but at the same time, like now my little sight picture of just what I got to do today is now like covered over, 50 other people, 60 other people, plus, hundreds of other people that it could affect. So now I have to change my viewpoint and, kind of be more strategic on what our decisions are made. Like right where I'm in the trenches as a team leader, lower level, management, it's like what we can affect right here, not like what everybody else affects. So it's like, hey, this is us. This is what we got to do today, right here. Now it's just at a bigger viewpoint, looking down. So now it's like, okay, I don't have to make a decision just for that individual. I got to make a decision for everybody.
Now, what does that change, especially if you come from that marketing department, that Central Arkansas location or A2 or not all these things? how do you look at it objectively now to be able to not have any bias as a leader? You're like, you know what? Especially if you came all the way up through, like, man, you know what? I got a homie that these secondary effects would help. I'm not really worried about over there,
Well, my mindset is this, like, because again, I'm a coach, right? In my heart, in my mind, in my heart, like I want to be super fair, right? So, yes, you're
Super
my
fair.
guy, and you know this, you work for me. You're my guy, but I got again, my standard is up here, so now I got to be fair to you, just like I got to be fair to this person over here that maybe not everybody likes, but
Yeah.
yet I got to be fair because the moment I'm not,
Now it's an issue.
now it's an issue because maybe he files a complaint, maybe I lose some credibility with him and with the team or whatever. Like, so it's fairness across the board. I'm not me. That's just me personally.
Gotcha.
Some people are gonna be biased, and
You think Kobe cares if he got to let somebody go?
no, absolutely not.
So what is the difference? Being that you're a leader, you want everybody to be up to this standard. Why not fight to be able to have a full team of highly successful standards?
That's ultimately. I mean, yeah, that would be the goal. But I mean, look at the other guy, LeBron, that most people think is the GOAT. But what does he have to have? He's got to have all-star
Wade?
team.
Yeah.
He's got to have an all-star team, and then he still can't accomplish the goal.
I just want to make sure I'm hearing this right. This is in regards to Kobe versus LeBron. Kobe, I just want to make sure you're saying this right. Kobe, you're saying is the GOAT, the capital THE, right?
I never said that. I
Okay.
said Michael's the GOAT.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Kobe's
So is there
number 2,
Okay.
and then LeBron. I don't care about points.
Okay.
The history of that.
You're not looking at data. You're not looking at the science.
I'm not looking at one metric. I'm looking at the whole picture.
What makes the whole Okay.
Right.
So you saying LeBron cannot do what these other people have done?
I didn't say that. I just said he has the
Potential.
the ability.
Yeah, I knew he's going to use one of those words to still say yes.
He has the ability, and I'm not saying he is one of the greats. I mean, obviously, even number 3 is like
You're still up there.
I mean,
He's
you're
trying to
like-
justify it.
it's like a fine line, though. I mean, it's not like a huge, like number 3 is like way down here. No, it's like right there.
Okay.
together.
Okay.
But it's like a tier down. A little bit. But he has the ability, but he has to surround himself with a lot of great players, and then
Could you see
see
that?
outcome.
Could you see that as a win? You're like, you know what? I know I'm not the best at doing X, but boy, am I insert amazing adjective. I don't, or I'm so freaking motivated. Regardless of it, anybody's gonna be they're gonna come in here and have a smile on their face. Can you say that's a good attribute to have, or do you need somebody that's gonna be like, bro, hey, it's cool you get people hyped up and excited, but that ain't bringing us revenue into the company. That's cool. You got
That
that.
kind of reminds me of somebody I know.
Who?
And I'm kind of pointing like 4 or 5 fingers.
Okay,
at,
I'm
you
listening
know?
though. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Those people are definitely useful to the team
Okay.
in the regards that, like, yes, sometimes there's bad news that's going to come out, right? There's
Maybe.
bad news. Hey, we did this. Now we got to perform at this level next month.
Yeah.
And those people, right, as the person who's got to bring in the bad news,
Yeah.
having somebody on the team that is the motivator and be like, you know what, guys, it's not that
Yeah.
bad.
Come on
Hey,
now.
hey,
Come on now.
we did this last month. Now we can do this. Like,
Exactly.
and it is a kind of a multiplier.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Now it goes into one of the last points. False motivation. What is false motivation? Can you explain that?
Yeah, false motivation is always acting like you're motivated, but I guess you're not. And it's because that's hence false. But false motivation, can be good because if you say you're happy, it's kind of like what is the verb, like you speak it into an existence.
Oh yeah, the affirmations
Yes.
type stuff.
So it's almost kind of the same thing. Like if I'm saying it and I'm gonna get $1 million or whatever. Like,
You think that's how it works?
you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying, like some people
More mentally, yeah.
But if you speak in your goal, like, but at the same time, motivation. If I'm just always like, "Hey guys, this doesn't really suck," when really they see it on my face. But
Yeah.
but it can be some type of motivation.
And to go to super left field on this one, I mean, you could have somebody like, and I'm gonna teeter around how I say this so you can try to fill in my blanks. So you would have somebody, let's say, as motivating as Robin Williams. You remember Robin? Do you know who
Yeah.
that is? Robin Williams, great guy. So when it comes to things that are, I mean, I guess you can call that false motivation. But then we know some individuals who they on the surface don't look like they have any issues. As a leader, how do you ask about that? Do you there's nobody's gonna be, oh, okay, it's every Thursday. Hey man, you feeling okay today? I mean, there's nobody gonna like do
No.
a checklist. So how can you truly determine how or what a person's going through or what's ticking them internally to be able to move the needle forward?
Again, it goes back to me understanding and knowing my team and the people that I work with daily. Like if I don't have conversations with them daily, or talk to them, right, and kind of just ask them, hey, how you doing today, or whatever, just in communication, like I never really understand them. And then again, I'm trying to build trust with them, but if I don't do that stuff, then again they're gonna be like, I don't care, but I can't ever find those things. But if they have trust in me, they'll open up. They'll be like, oh, well, I had this going on, or something else came up, or
I need about $20 to tomorrow or something. Can you hold
I
me
need
on
some
$20?
gas,
Yeah, I need about $20 to tomorrow,
I can't come to work because I don't have no gas.
or I just don't want to. You had somebody on your team that y'all had to go and do some stuff for. That was. Are you taking the rap for that and you're handling that issue behind the scenes, or is it like one of those things where it get to a point you're like, man, I can't be supporting you this much. Like I can't be taking this many L's and you ain't helping me out.
Obviously there's always a time where you're gonna have to be like, I got to cut this off.
How many times is that? Three strikes?
It's gonna
Because
be.
I feel like you did it once. You didn't give anybody any time. You did once and you're like, all right, that's enough. For me."
No. No, I mean, so it's always going to be personal, right? Individuals. Sometimes it's just going to be, all right, you're just not even coming to the table with
You ain't even helping me out
You ain't
no
even
more.
helping me
Yeah.
out. Yeah. All you want is handouts. Like, and I'm not here to, I'm not a
Hand
charity.
out. Yeah,
I'm not a
I'm not a
charity.
nonprofit.
So, like I said, you can read people. You're gonna know like when it's genuine. Hey, I need this, or hey, can you help me out with this? And me again being a coach, I want to be like, okay, yeah, let's take care of this. But then next
I'll
time,
fool with
but
you.
but I'm the type of person too. Like, you burn me once, and then I'm just like,
It's a wrap.
it's a wrap. I'm done.
That's why I figured it was only gonna be one time that he did that because he didn't give no 3 strikes you're out rule.
No.
Final question. As I had it on my phone, I'm about to bring it back up, and I really want you to give something that's coming from the heart. All right. What lessons from championship teams or championship mindsets would you apply, or should someone apply that you think would be the most effective?
That's a good question.
And we're talking about being more effective, not efficient. Because I learned that there's a difference between those two.
Absolutely.
We're talking about Baby
Repeat
Rogers.
the question. Repeat the
Yeah,
question.
Baby Rogers is fresh off the street. What can somebody do that's applicable? Well, so you got the championship mindset and championship teams. What values, skills, traits, attributes do you think they should use to be the most effective if they're going to be, or they have now in this leadership role that you think, but hey, if you don't do nothing, you probably definitely need to do this?
If we're talking about, like I